Good evening, Music Reviewers. This is your host, Johnny D, coming at you with a special number 10 episode. Coming to you with my co-host, Draven Crow, and we got a special episode, I tell you. So I know we're gonna get into it real quick here, but because we got a lot to say, it might run longer than our usual time. We'll see. But you know, we just want to basically start the night off by introducing how we came across. Maybe I'll start it with you, maybe. But when was the first time you either heard the band or heard this album that we're going to speak of tonight?
Yes, sir. Yes, yes, yes. First time hearing this particular band.
Oh,
Oh man, probably like I'm gonna say I'm gonna grip the year of probably like 1998. I would imagine. And for all the folks out there listening, you would know that I'd be fairly young and youthful at this particular time. But I had some friends that we were all into the heavy Panteras and the Slayers and whatnot, and then we had another group of friends that were into some other more eclectic music, and I think it was the self-titled Sublime album that I heard first before the album that we're going to speak about tonight. But that was my introduction to Sublime, and man, I don't know. I hate to break it to everybody out there, like all these bands and all these reviews that we've been doing, but this has got to be the probably the number one on my list of bands that I just absolutely I just love it. There's nothing more. I could sit here for hours and talk about how much I love Sublime. It's been with me since I was 14, 15 years old, and it'll continue to be with me. I love every song. I know every word. I know every track. I know every album. I know the life history of Mr. Noel. I know, Eric and everybody. I know what's happened after they split up. Well, unfortunately, split up. That we'll get into that later. But long story short, this is my favorite thing to talk about is Sublime, and we're going to get into it. What about you there, bud? How do you feel?
well, I know first track, and knowing what you just said there, I'm kind of getting excited about what you're gonna probably rate this album that we're gonna do. If you haven't guessed, we're gonna be doing the 40 Ounce of Freedom album, and I'd say the first time I heard this album, I was driving with my buddy, and his mom was driving, and he puts this in. He's just like, "You heard this before?" I was like, "No." So he starts ripping it, and like, so groovy, so awesome, and like, but the thing is when they add those little nuance, those little like cuts in there, and there's like some inappropriate things that like are shouted sometimes, and you just hear his mom like she's kind of grooving with it, and all of a sudden like a little snippet will come in, and she'll be like, look at him like, what was that? you know. But I think the first time I heard Sublime, it was on the radio. I think probably was What I Got or Santeria, but I hadn't heard a full album, and I had gone over to a different buddy's house who one day he was just ripping it, and I had only heard those two songs, so I got to hear like a few songs out of the self-titled album. But the first full album this heard straight front to back was probably 40 Ounce of Freedom, and I know it was my buddy playing it that one day. We're driving with his mom, and then right after that, like not too long, we went on a camping trip to a place in Ontario, and we listened to that all the way up and all the way back, and we just ripped it the whole time. Never got sick of it at all. It's such a groovy album.
Yeah, dude. You've nailed it. Like groovy. This sound and what you're trying to allude to here is that it's just such this uniqueness that the whole band atmosphere brings. This is like reggae meets ska meets punk meets just the vocal styling of Mr. Knowles here is just absolutely beyond comprehension how good this is. And he takes like mixing stuff with DJs and sampling sounds from other bands and other songs, but then fusing it with his own his own mix, and it just becomes this entity that's just so immense and just it's beyond words how much I love this. It's just such a good feel. Just love the Sublime. Can't tell you how much I love the Sublime, my man.
It's a good feeling, like you said. It's a every one of their albums, but this one in particular, I believe like you could just put on, and whatever kind of mood you're in, it's definitely gonna lift you, just kind of put you in a better mood with the type of reggae feel it has, and just like funky. I don't know what you want to call it. There's some punk rock in there. There's a little bit of everything, eh?
Well, there's punk rock in there. There is every genre pretty much mixed up into this mash of just beautiful awesomeness. Like, yeah. There's sections where it breaks down into just these pure punk rock grooves, heavy on the guitar, and then you're breaking down to like some really funky like DJ stuff with the turntable scratching, and then almost this kind of like I wouldn't call it hip hop style, but this a reggae over the turntable type of thing that's just like so what would you call that? Like dance hall or something reminiscent of that. Just such just a unique sound in general. Just there's nothing like it.
No,
I'm sorry, everybody out there. Nobody has done this after them. They've maybe tried to replicate it, but you're not going to. This is Sublime, and there is only certain albums that they produced, and you'll never hear an album like this again.
yeah, totally,
Period. That's
totally
it.
agreed. Definitely, 100%. I think that I don't know. Did you want to run through some of your favorite tracks, or maybe I'll run through a couple?
You run through yours, and I'll run through mine because I think mine's going to run about 21 tracks long on this one, and I think the whole album's 21 tracks.
Well,
So you go right ahead.
that's the thing about this album, right? It's a full album. It's not like you get 1 or 10 tracks or 12 tracks. You got 22 tracks on there. And what album has
Amazing.
22 tracks? And most albums that do have 22 tracks have a lot of like little snippet songs. But it seems on this album you got basically like at least a 3 minute song almost every track. And yeah, okay. So I'll just go up with a couple of mine. We're only gonna die. Don't push. Bad fish. Scarlet Begonias, What Happened, Date Rape. I don't know. You can listen to this album front to back for 100%. But like you can, you wanted to lay down a couple of little tracks that you're thinking that just hit you right
Yeah.
away when you heard this album.
It was Waiting for My Ruka, I think, is one of my favorites. It opens with that and that bass line that punches in,
Boom,
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 boom.
boom, and it
Punk
just
rock changed my
hooks you right
life.
away. And then that soft vocal tone that he has, you know,
Yeah,
waiting for my Ruka, and it's all just that nice little. I don't know what the tone is musically, but it just hits my ear, and I just love that right away. She's selling oranges by the freeway. The whole flipping thing is just just so good. It's so good. I mean, the 40 ounce, the freedom, self-titled track, smoke two joints. We're only gonna die. Don't push. Don't push is probably one of my favorites on this album, just like it is yours. I'm pretty sure.
yeah,
5446. That's my number.
yeah.
Bad Fish. I think Bad Fish was with Gwen Stefani, if I'm not mistaken.
Not that one.
You can get that collaboration. I
It
don't
was
know if it's on this album, but they did a
it,
collab.
yeah, it was Red Saw actually. I think that's on the
Oh, yeah, right,
or Saw
right.
Red.
Jeez,
Saw Red.
silly. Saw Red. You
I
got
saw
it.
red.
I
I
saw
saw
Red with
red.
Gwen
That's it.
Stefani. That's the one. Not Bad Fish. I'm an idiot. Sorry.
Oh, it's all good.
Let's
It's
get
not.
stoned. Starlit Begonias. Live at Ease. DJs. DJs is so cool. I come with my Smith and Wesson. Boing boing. Boom. Oh,
You
just
can
that
tell the two
whole
fingers
DJ set
going
on
that
that is
way.
just so dude, it's so good. Eben, my friend Eben changed, since he's been doing drugs and
Yeah.
whatnot. I mean, just the whole thing about that date rape, of course. I mean, that's probably one of the ones that's most popular. Date rape is so good. That track they did with KRS One.
Okay.
KRS-One is actually one of their influences. If you don't believe so, you can go to their biography and go check that out. KRS-One is one of their guys that they look forward influence on their albums. Rivers of Babylon. I mean, I don't know. The entire album is just a masterpiece in my opinion. It's a top to bottom 21 track. Put it on, listen to it. I've had so many experiences to every one of these songs from a time and place in life that I can't even describe. Um, Basically, if I was to be buried with a disc, it would probably be this one because
Ooh.
this is my life in a soundtrack. It was really the soundtrack to my entire youth, and continues to be just one of the best albums I've ever heard. So enough about me gushing about the Sublime album. I have some facts here,
Yes.
but go ahead. Maybe you can touch on that a little bit more. How it feels to you.
Just on the tracks too, I wanted to just say about the last track, which is called Thanks, which is just a credit song, right? And they basically thank
Yep.
everybody, most of the people that are part of people that made that happen for them, right? And I think that's such a great idea. Like
Thanks, Satso.
I've never seen a band do that. And if they did, maybe it was like a couple thanks. It wasn't like a whole song. Correct me if I'm wrong. I don't know. Maybe you've heard one too. Maybe you've heard one, but yeah, I mean, I think that's such a
Yeah,
great idea. And there's definitely no skipper songs on this album. It's just right through, right through. It's all
right
together. It's
through.
wholesome. You have to take it all in as one. You can't just take it in as a couple songs. As oh, I only like this one and this one and this one. The whole thing flows great. That's all.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I wanted to say about the track.
I would say if you're just going to put on a Sublime album, I would definitely do this one before the self-titled. The self-titled got a little more commercial success, and it was a
Yes.
little more accepted in the mainstream, and that's fine. We can do a little video on that one too because that album's just it's solid too. And Sublime got their comeuppance with that album and got some commercial recognition and got some sales and so on and so forth. This album, since '92, is certified multi-platinum. It's sold over 2 million records since '92, and it's actually since '92 been the strongest selling album from that decade. No matter like what band, like there's no sales of another album from that year that sells more than Sublime albums do.
Wow.
So that's a really interesting fact. Like it just continues to sell year after year more than anybody else's albums from that particular year. There was 6 covers, like we were talking about
Yeah, yeah. Talk
earlier,
about those
off
covers.
that album. Yeah, the 6 covers. So I didn't know that these. Well, I knew some were covers, but I didn't know they were all covers. Smoke Two Joints was a cover. We're Only Gonna Die was a cover from Bad Religion, which I didn't know that was a Bad Religion song. 5446, that's my number, was from the Toots and the Maytals. I think I'm saying that right. Scarlet Begonias was from the Grateful Dead. I think we talked about that, and that was pretty cool.
We're talking about
Rivers
how
of
good
Babylon was
that
from
song was as
Melodian.
well.
Yep. And Hope, which is another song by the Descendants, which is a punk band, which was pretty sweet. In 1995, it debuted #1 on the Heatseekers chart, and it in '92 when it came out, it was 133 on the Canadian alternative chart. So yeah, it didn't have commercial success when it came out because it was such a funky. We were talking about that. Like, what's going on in 1992 for music? Let's tell the viewers. What do you think's happening in '92? Who's who's at the top of the charts in '92? Hair
Exactly.
metal.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think too, like uh, it was is it probably a newer sound because, like you said earlier before, that there's no you'll not hear another band that's quite like this. I think it was just taking California reggae and like giving it a whole different style of a punk style or whatever, a DJ style. But yeah, I mean, I don't think that it got its success on this album just because the maybe the world wasn't ready quite yet for it. And then when the self-titled dropped and they got the commercial success, I still feel like a whole handful of songs should have been on the radio even nowadays. They should have taken some of those singles and reissued them. Like you won't hear any singles almost on any of the radio stations, any of the ones we listen to anyways, I would say. Unless it's satellite radio maybe, but general radio stations you're not going to find maybe one single from that. It was probably Badfish or something like that from that album. But the rest of the album, like you would never hear that, right? I think that's why it didn't really get it to success. But it dues to all credit. It definitely in the right time or whatever, or if that one was released at the self-titled era, I think more people might have grasped it, maybe. But I mean, it deserves all the credit for sure.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. It didn't get the acclamations that it deserved, but you know what it did get is the people that listen to it. It has a like cult like following for the people that it struck a chord with,
Yeah,
and for the place and time that it was in. This is, I'm sure, I'm just going to throw this out there, but I'm sure this is in people's top five greatest bands of all time. If you grew up with this in your life in your time, that Sublime was a place and it's a time. And like you were saying, and I was saying that you'll never find another band that sounds like this and did what it did. It does. It to me, it deserves, and I think it's getting more credit as we go on in time and people rediscover it. Like maybe even newer generations are kind of figuring out what Sublime is or whatnot, or even just us people at our age continuing the love and caring for this album and the other albums and Sublime in a generality. But I don't want Sublime to go away and fade into memory. I just want it to continue and carry on. And I I wish that there was bands like this nowadays that just kind of like sparked some creativity between different genres and just new things. And I think that Sublime was just at the forefront of just taking so many different elements and blending them together and making it such a just an absolute work of art, just a beautiful thing. I mean, they really did. I don't know how to express that more than sure they're talking about smoking weed and doing drugs for for per se for song per song, but I mean the way that it was all stylized and put together is just pure genius in my opinion.
giving a real big scene to the reggae scene too, like basically
Oh, huge.
making a whole other bunch of bands emerge from that, and making a whole genre almost of California reggae, in my opinion. But I know. Let's talk a little bit about what the cover of this album looks like, right?
Ah,
You got anything to
killer.
say about the cover of this album?
Well, I kind of did some research on how it all came together, but my general understanding of it is that it is how do I say this? Um, I think it's for a particular group of people doing a particular group of things. And if this is a PG show, then we're going to keep it PG. But
Yes,
it was artwork done by one of their friends, if I'm not mistaken. The artwork is amazing,
and it looks like a
and
sun. It looks
yeah,
like a sun.
it could be a couple different things,
Yes,
but
yes.
yeah, the artwork is amazing. I mean, come on. I mean, what more do you want out of
Let's leave it up to the viewers to take a look at the artwork for themselves, and then they can make their own comments, right? There's lots of stuff going on with it. It's definitely unique. Um, it suits the album. So yeah, I don't know. I'm getting excited. You want to roll into the rating of this album or what? Or you got some
Dude?
more
What else
facts?
do
You
I
want to
got
get some
here?
facts here?
I got some more facts. I got some more facts.
Let's rip it up.
We got Mr. Bradley Noel on vocals. We got Eric Wilson on bass. We got Bud Gow. Bud, yeah, I think it's Bud. But yeah, Bud on drums. He was off and on with the band from time to time. The self-titled sold 6 million copies, which is their biggest selling album, which is the one we're talking about here is only 2 million copies, but that's fine.
That's really good.
The
Yeah.
self-titled was a little more of a success. It was certified multi-platinum since 90
Since when?
from 92. Yeah, so both of them are multi-platinum albums.
Yeah.
We know about Eric, right? Mr. Eric Wilson,
Eric.
and Sublime has carried on without Mr. Bradley.
Yes.
We can even talk about how his son is kind of maybe carrying on and doing some stuff, or how Rome with Sublime has been a carry on as well. But maybe that's for another video.
Well, yeah. I mean, I'll just.
Other than that,
Yeah.
yeah, go ahead.
Well, I was just gonna say, yeah, Rome took over after quite a while, actually, probably 10 to 15 years later. They decided to do something. They did one album with Eric and Bud, and then after that tour, from what I know, is I believe Bud decided he wasn't gonna carry on with Rome and Eric, so they got a different drummer, and they ended up doing the Sublime with Rome for, I think, I want to say it's 4 albums, around 4 albums or so, and that could be other
Yeah,
reviews that can be further down the road. But yeah, what you said, his son's just finally emerging, becoming. He's about, I think he said he was like 28 now or something, right? So yeah, basically, almost coming full circle around. You can look it up. They basically played a few shows. I think they're gonna be touring. I know a couple of shows that I've seen announced, but there's some clips online, and he sounds just like Bradley. It's amazing. But it'd be nice for them to put out an album. That would be awesome. But yeah, go back to you here.
yeah. It's just like even I have so much more to say about this. Like just not on the technical side, just so many stories I could roll off about listening to Sublime and what I was doing and how I was going. But I guess we better keep the YouTube video to a manageable amount of time here. I I'm gonna give this. Let's get to the review. Let's
Yeah,
let's get to the review. I'll quit spewing about my man crush on Sublime,
that's
and I'm
fun.
gonna give this. This is gonna be 11 out of 10 for me. This is
Oh,
probably my favorite band in the whole world. This album and the self-titled is always going to get an 11 out of 10 for me. I love this band. It's been the soundtrack to my youth, to my life. I know every word. I know every verse. I know every song. I know the entire story to the whole band. I know everything about this. So 11 out of 10. Bingo.
11 out of 10. I don't even know how that's possible. You know what? You just made it possible. And
It is.
that sure is
It's
exciting.
possible, buddy.
Yeah, I gotta give it a solid 10 for sure. It is front to back. Great album to put on if you're gonna go camping on a road trip or something. It's one of the albums you're just gonna play right through. It can loop around probably about 3 times before you're like, yeah, should we put something else on? Yeah, whatever, man. Just let it go, right? And I just remember that being a big part of our camping trips when we were younger, and we'd even play it when we were at the site. But it was always exciting. On your way to go drive to the campsite and putting that on. Yeah, I don't think anything else could have pumped me up at that time like that. I mean, I was used to listening to some like Offspring, maybe Green Day back then, and then this comes on and it's totally different. I mean, you can dance to it. It's amazing. Yeah. You said you didn't have any
Yes.
more thoughts. We're gonna roll with the 10 out of 10 and 11 out of 10. Yeah,
She's a winner.
that's a pretty high ranked album. That is currently the most highest ranked album on our site. This is the 10th episode, right? And I know we did something different. We've been doing a lot of hard albums lately, and we decided to do something with a little more softer tones, but just as exciting. Any more further thoughts you want to do to wrap this thing up or what?
Let's wrap this up there, my man. But I want to bring it to the people and to you there, my friend too. But if we're gonna do another album, I think we're gonna go into another zone. I'm thinking maybe some No Effects or something like that. Maybe
Ooh.
to throw some punk into the mix and see what's up. Because was this your pick or was this my pick?
Well, I think no, this is my pick.
What was your pick?
Yeah.
Well, we'll throw a couple picks into the mix and we'll see what's up. But I definitely want to throw some punk and drublic into the conversation and see what's up with that. Because
I do.
I know the people out there and you too love the No Effects, so maybe we'll throw some of that in there too. But uh, great being with you guys and great being with you, my man, and great talking about one of my favorite bands and albums of all time. This has been a really good fun time, and I appreciate it.
Oh, that's great. Well, we'll conclude our episode just there, and it was great that you wrapped it up. And we'll see you all next time.
Peace.
Peace.